Noticed, there's something pretty common that happens with these sunroof cars, and a couple of things you need to look for when you have one is see this tube where it goes into. This is the sunroof box, I call it. It's actually a metal box. It's a little bit tapered at this end, okay, but it's actually a metal box that was added to the roof in manufacturing for the sunroof to ride in. And there's a couple of things you need to really look out for when you're doing one of these sunroof cars. One of those things is to make sure that these tubes are not clogged. So take these tubes off carefully, because you're not going to want to replace them. Take them off, or if you can't get them off easily without damaging it, run a wire down inside of here. Take a squirt bottle or a hose, run water down this thing to make sure that this is cleaned out. And so that's one of the things. Look here in this area, typically in this area here, to make sure that there's no rust holes. If there's a rust hole, make sure you treat the area, because it rusted from the inside out. Treat the area from the inside out, so when you open it up to weld a piece in, treat it, shove a brush in there with I use rust reformer. You can use phosphoric acid, but it's better to use something that protects it as well. And then the main thing to look for is this right here on your roof. Almost every sunroof car I've ever had, except for this one, this is really rare, has where that box is on the inside. On the outside, right here, you'll see where there's a piece that they weld on right along this edge. You see this right here? There's seam sealer right here a little bit. Between this layer, the roof metal, and this piece here, it tends to rust out and it rusts through the roof. So this you need to repair, and the best way to repair it is like this. You go ahead and you'll see a rust spot right here. It'll be about right in here somewhere. Just go ahead and cut a square to open that area up, okay? Pull that piece out where the rust hole is, okay? Treat everything you can behind it with rust reformer, phosphoric acid. I usually use rust reformer because it has a finish on it. So if you use phosphoric acid, that means you're going to have to paint it as well. So treat that area underneath. Then what I do is I cut a piece of a piece of rectangle metal, and it's a little bit larger than the hole, okay, and I'll shove it in sideways and turn it like this, put it inside. Then sometimes I'll take a bar and have to push it inside here, a long bar, to hold it up tight against the roof, okay, because you have limited clearance in there where the sunroof is. So I use a 22 gauge piece of steel. You can butt weld a piece in. That works out well too if you're trying to do that. But generally what I do is I just back it from behind with a piece of sheet metal and then spot weld all the way around it, and that does a good job and holds it. Just make sure that you treat underneath, because what happens is these sunroofs, how they work is there is no real seal. The seal that's along the top is basically a dust seal. They're designed for water to go down in this groove right here and exit out four of the tubes. There's the two tubes in the front. You also need to take these out and clean them. They're a little bit easier to do. Check for damage. Make sure there's no holes in that tube. Make sure that there's no rust around where the tube goes in. If it's rusted out, you're going to have to weld in a new piece of tube. Now let's let's see if the other side may be rusted out. Let's look at it on this one. I haven't started this project yet, so really, I mean, officially, I've done some work on it. Okay, so this is an example of what needs to be done. Right here, this tube is rusted out. So what I'll do is I'll take a piece of tubing, steel tubing, and I'll slide it in that. I'll open up this hole with a drill or with my rat tail file that I have on my that I use on my die grinder. I showed you guys a video of that. Then I'll just open this up, shove a piece of steel tubing in there, weld it all the way around, seam seal it to make sure that in case I have any pinholes in my welds, that seam sealer will do the job to hold it from leaking. Of course, check it for leaks and put a new piece of rubber tube that goes all the way down inside of here and drains down here in the bottom. So check all 4 of these things on your sunroof. Make sure that they are all working, and make sure that when you pour water in this in here in this groove, that water drains out those tubes. Because if it doesn't, you're going to have water inside your car. Because there is no seal for the sunroof. It's just a dust seal. This is the thing that stops your leaking. So, just so you know, a lot of sunroof cars have at the bottom of these pillars, the A pillar, a lot of them have rust issues there too, because the tube, it's not protected inside there. So, take a little rust reformer. I like to get those gallons of it, if you watch my other videos, and pour it down inside here. It's not going to hurt too much to have a little bit too much of that stuff down there. Just to, pour it down from the trunk side. Just open up your trunk. This one opens up so I can do it. Open up your trunk and pour some of that stuff right down in this cavity. Because if it is rusted down there, it'll tend to rust out again. So those are the basic things before you paint. And the rust repair that you're going to have. Almost every time you're going to have this corner right here rusted out where my finger is. It's going to be rusted. There's going to be a few pits right here. If there's a few pits, you got to open it up. I usually open it up in a square, and usually you'll see the part where they weld the 2 pieces together right here, the brace, and then I'll put my patch piece in, and that brace will hold it up tight. If it doesn't, you're going to have to use a bar from the inside to hold it in place. So that's how you do your rust repair on your sunroof. I hope that helps, and I'll be doing more to this car here pretty soon, but I'm actually going to start on my SO23 camper here once I get that engine back together for the 40 horse engine, which is probably going to happen next week. So hopefully, if you guys want, I usually go to the Wolfsburg West show, and it's if you guys want to meet up, I'll be there probably on, when is that going to be? I think it's on the 8th. I think it's next weekend. So so I usually go to that show. So I don't know which car I'm going to have. I'm going to either have the 13 window, the 61 bug, or the 65 sunroof. All right, I'll talk to you guys later on the next video, and I hope this helps you get your stuff done.